Dear students, welcome to the course on Marketing of Financial Services. The topic this video would cover is securitization and intercorporate loans and investment. Dear students, we are going to start with topic first, which is related to securitization. Securitization, we are going to understand in the format of definition, what are the stages, what are the assets used, and what is the merits of securitization. We move forward and try to understand the basic definition of securitization. Securitization is a process by which financial institutions create additional liquidity on the backing of their existing assets through the sale of financial instruments. Means if you try to analyze this definition, it is trying to talk something about additional liquidity which would be incorporated in the expansion of the business or will be utilized for the existing usage in terms of the existing business. It means that as business expands, the need of various types for finance will also increase. Financial institutions throughout the world are raising their resources in the money market, capital market, and debt instrument market. Government too are raising their finances by issuing various types of instruments. Thus, securitization is a concept by which financial institutions are able to acquire additional resources by using their own existing long-term assets. When banking and financial institution provide long-term loans, you are aware the interest earned from them over a period of time may decline due to the floating rate of interest. By the way of hedge, that is, an insurance against the risk of declining interest against these long-term assets, credit instruments are issued in the market for a lesser rate of interest, and thereby additional funds are added. The funds raised by the sale of debt instruments such as certificate of deposits will be utilized for providing short-term or medium-term loans. For further clarification, let us try to understand the concept of securitization by the example of securitization in balance sheet of a bank. If you look at the statement, now if you look at the balance sheet, you can look upon there is an housing loan of 1.50 crores shown in the balance sheet. Now the bank can transfer the housing loan to a trust and obtain from them rupees 1 crore worth of funds against which it can issue certificate of deposits carrying lesser rate of interest than housing loan. For example, housing loan may carry 10% interest while the certificate of deposit may carry only 8%. Even if the housing loan interest falls due to floating rate of interest, it will not affect the bank due to hedge it has created by issuance of certificate of deposits. That is how it will try to manage or mitigate the losses with decrease in interest through certificate of deposits, and hence that balance is maintained in case of interest. Let us try to understand what are the different stages involved in securitization process. There are 5 stages. In the first stage, the financial institution or the banker called as originator, the originator will pool his lending like mortgage or account receivables into homogeneous type based on interest rate, maturity period. Thus, the first stage is called as identification process stage and also called as originator. Means we need to identify mortgage or account receivable and put them into an homogeneous cluster based upon the interest rate and maturity period. Second stage we'll try to understand is called as SPU, which is called as special purpose vehicle. This is also called as second stage, which is termed as securitization. Here, the originator will transfer all his assets to another institution with the help of process of securitization. The assets are converted into security by SPV, which is called as special purpose vehicle or trust. The trustees may be retired high court judge who may have knowledge of value of assets and finance. There are also merchant bankers who act as SPU, SPV and as agent for issue. The reputation of merchant bankers will help in the issue of debt instrument by which debt instruments will be oversubscribed. That means this is a stage where you are going to create issue stage of securitization will come into picture. Once special purpose vehicle is created, next step is we will try to split the SPU. SPU splits various assets into different types of securities according to the maturing date and interest rate. The different types are as follows: pass through certificate, pay through certificates, interest only certificate, and principal only certificates. Let us try to understand one by one what those are. The first which I told was pass-through certificates. In case of pass-through certificates, payments are received from assets such as housing loan, from out of which payment for certificate of deposits are made as and when they are due. Second type is pay through certificates. In this case, multiple maturity structure certificates depending upon mature pattern of various assets will be issued so that as and when paid. Third is interest only certificate. The interest for this certificate will be paid as per the earning from the assets securitized. And last, principal only certificate. Only the principal amount will be paid on the certificates from the realization of assets. Next, redemption stage in securitization. Payments received from various assets are used to redeem various credit instruments which were issued. This is done by originator himself. In some case, separate servicing agent may be appointed who will undertake collection work for which adequate commission will be paid. Here, the job of the servicing agent will be to discharge the assets through collection of principal and interest and settle the debt instrument. For example, the housing loan may be collected with principal and interest. From its collection, debt instruments such as certificate of deposit will be made. A pass-through certificate, which mentioned already, may be with the recourse or without recourse certificate. In case of recourse certificate, if payment is defaulted, the originator will be held liable by the special purpose vehicle. Hence, special purpose vehicle plays a very important role in settling the claims of investors. And the last stage is credit rating stage. The pass-through certificate which was issued by SPV has to be credited has to be credit rated as their debt instrument, then which are issued to public. The financial institution issuing these debt instruments will have to undergo credit rating, which is statutorily mandated in many countries. The debt instruments are also traded in secondary market, especially for interest swap. Let us try to understand further what are the different types of assets which can be used for securitization by financial institution. I will just go through the list for us to understand. First is home loan granted to individuals or institutions. Hypothecation of vehicle loan is second. Leasing finance, that is what we have discussed, and in which especially finance lease is something which can be is an asset which can be used for securitization. Supply bill belonging to government department, outstanding on credit cards, and long-term granted to reputed parties. Moving forward, let us try to understand what are the merits of securitization. First, it enables the lending institutions to improve their liquidity. It improves liquidity by converting their long-term assets for securitization. With increasing turnover of the rest liquidity, the earning of the originator definitely goes up. Second benefit is interest swap. Financial securities or institutions can gain in securitization by interest swap. What is interest swap? Interest swap is an interest rate derivative. It involves exchange of interest rate between two parties. Third and most important benefit, it reduces the risk on asset. As the asset structure and volumes are reduced, the capital adequacy ratio is increased and thereby it reduces the risk on assets. For the long-term assets, funds are raised and invested in various debt instruments, which brings diversification of risk. It also enhances the credit rating. For the long term, the financial institution is able to get credit rating, and this enables them to obtain funds at lower cost. Mutual funds and other financial institutions such as insurance companies will be benefited due to different portfolio investments. Increasing demand in money market can be met from out of long-term assets, and this will make the capital market more dynamic. Similarly, we would like to know what are the benefits of securitization to bank. We'll try to understand that with the points. Commercial banks, which have an important responsibility of protecting the interest of depositors and at the same time provide them with interesting interest rate that are attractive. This balancing act can be done only when commercial banks undertake securitization. Precisely, the commercial bank enjoys the following benefits due to securitization. They obtain better source of funds. They are able to maintain capital adequacy norms wherein high risk assets are countered by lower risk weighted assets. Bank can create more credit since they can shift from one portfolio of investment to other, especially during selective credit control. By interest swap and by turnover, the earnings of the bank increases, by which the profitability also goes up. It is also benefited to asset liability management. When there is a floating rate of interest, the income of the bank may get affected. This is countered by the bank switching over to the higher interest earning so that its income will be sufficient to meet the claim of the depositors. That is what are the benefits which securitization is going to have. Now let us try to understand a very small concept which is related to financial services, that is called as intercorporate loans and investment. Let us try to understand the first. Interconcept loan is nothing but as the word is inter, that means Loans which are provided by one company to the other company is called as intercorporate loan. When a company provides loan, security or guarantee to another company or any entity is called as intercorporate loan. It is as per the provisions of section 186 of the Companies Act, which deals with intercorporate loan and investment. Similarly, let us try to understand the word which is called as intercorporate investment. When a company invests in any other company in any form, that is what is called as corporate investment, which makes us understand that why the intercompany loans are being used. Intercompany loans are loans made from one business unit of the company to other. This is for basically one of the following reasons. One, the basic purpose is to shift cash to a business unit that would otherwise experience a cash shortfall. Second reason is to shift cash into a business unit, usually corporate, where the funds are aggregated for investment purposes. And third reason is to shift cash within the business unit that use a common currency rather than sending in funds from a foreign location that will subject to exchange rate fluctuation. Which brings me to the conclusion and makes us understand very basic concept of intercompany loan and investment. With this, I conclude this video with a review questions which can be extracted from this video or from the PowerPoint presentations which are presented for you. The first, what is the definition of securitization and what are the benefits of securitization? Second, explain the process or steps of securitization. Also, then we try to understand what is a definition of intercorporate loan and investments and what are the basic purposes for which intercorporate loans and investments provisions have been made in the Companies Act. With this, I conclude my short video on securitization and intercorporate loan and investments. Thank you.